turn 9?
The 12th of this month.
Oh my gosh. So are you, I mean, it's still kind of like COVID life, so you can't really have a big birthday party or anything. So you're just going to do friends and family at home?
So she did a friends and family party at her dad's last weekend. So we did that. And then my family, she just wants to do a birthday dinner because traditionally in my family, we just do a birthday dinner. So she looks forward to that because she can pick where she wants to go. And she already picked like the most expensive option. She said, I want to do hibachi. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Hibachi. Fancy taste. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Really well, I was hoping, we did like such a big birthday party for the 2, the 3, the 4, and then her 5th birthday, we kind of like parlayed into another like community event. It was like Cantina Fun Run, which is actually, it was postponed and they're doing it virtually now. But, I'm feeling like the birthdays are dying down with the epicness. And so we are able to obviously COVID, her birthday was in the thick of the quarantine. So we did a parade. But I think she's starting to get out of like the big, like production of a birthday party.
Yeah.
All right, so we are live on Facebook. I'm so excited to introduce all of the world to you. I think you're amazing. My first introduction to you was years ago when I had first opened Paint and Sip, and I think you were just getting She's the Boss in like that's basically the start of it. So tell us more about you and She's the Boss. And I always say like why we should care.
Well, first of all, I'm me a little bit, so we should just care because I'm another person. But I'm from Jamaica originally, but I grew up in the capital region. So I've been here most of my life. I went through the Albany City public school system. I went to Siena. So I've literally just kind of been here. So for She's a Boss, that started towards the end of my college run, and I had wanted to do event planning, and I had already did like a couple internships for event planning, and it involved a lot of envelope stuffing and putting together gift baskets, and I'm like, this is not what I'm trying to graduate and do. So I kind of took the initiative because I didn't want to, I went to school, I'm paying all this money to get this degree to stuff envelopes. And I'm like, I don't think so. So I took it upon myself to reach out to event planners in the area just to talk to somebody like, okay, what path did you take? What can I do to get to where you are? At the time, I didn't realize that I was doing like networking and informational interviews. But long story short, one of the women, she did actually offer to be my mentor after we had a discussion. So that was like my first experience into mentorship. And literally through that experience with her, it taught me so much about mentorship. I still have different mentors. Even now, I still communicate with her as a mentor. She can reach out to me, I can reach out to her. And she is really where the seed of She's a Boss was planted. Like she planted that seed in my brain because I told her, I want to do events. And she said, so do events. She said, put a group together and plan events. And I'm like, okay. And, I was like, I need a topic. What am I convening people around? And again, at that time, that was my first experience into mentorship. And my friends, my other colleagues, my friends that I didn't go to school with, they saw that I was having these opportunities to go to networking events, to meet different people, to do all these different things. And they were asking me, how do I get to do this stuff? And I knew, and I'm still not the expert in it, but I was like, okay, so maybe this is a topic. So I chose to convene people around career development and mentorship. And it really started from there in the community, doing events at the library, doing events at small businesses, and literally anybody that would host us, I was like, I'm in there. And we were doing speed mentoring events, panel discussions, roundtable discussions. So it started in the community. And that was literally almost 10 years ago. And I shocked myself every time I've been saying it all year. It's been almost 10 years. I'm just like, wow, it's been almost 10 years. But it kind of snowballed from there to now where we're at. And I think that's our niche and that's our sweet spot. is helping women of color in the college space. So our focus has been leadership development and mentorship for collegiate women of color. And through that, we've been able to work with students on the Union College campus, Siena College, the Sage colleges, Mildred Ely, and we mentor groups of 2 to 3 students in the spring. And this is where it kind of comes full circle for me. Again, it's leadership development, and the vehicle that we use to help them with that is through event planning. So we walk them through the process of planning an event on their campus, which gives them the opportunity to really mold and create their own opportunities to build their resume and build their skills in almost any professional skill set you could think of, from strategic planning to public speaking to marketing, finance. We've had groups that has raised money to produce their events. We've had groups that they decided they wanted to be a speaker at their event. So it's been, just a really long ride and I could see it continue to go. It's been awesome, like developing it and seeing how things have changed and seeing where we'll be in the future.
Yeah, creating an event, producing an event, putting it on, inviting, making sure people show up, it's a lot of work. I don't think people realize just how much work it is to put on a party or an event or whatever you want to call it. At Paint Sip, that's kind of how I explain what Paint Sip is. It's not a painting lesson. It's not, I'm just going to go and leave. It's like an experience. You want from you stepping foot into the studio to feel like, okay, we're going to have a good time. And every single person needs to leave feeling like I just accomplished something really, really exciting. And that I was part of something really bigger than myself. And it's that little nugget of just inspiration that really catapulted me to Open Palette again to the notion that like you shouldn't have to go to an event or a party or another place in the world to feel lit up. We should feel that way every day. And so it's like through Palette, I want, you're just going to get a cup of coffee, or are you going to get like motivated, inspired, and lifted up, and you leave feeling like you can take on the world. And I've believed from day one that I could make that happen, and we've been able to do it. So it's a lot of work every day. It's like an event, every day we're putting on a huge experience, a show for people to come and see what we're doing here. So I wanted to ask you, She's a Boss is not all that you're doing. You have other things, including human things that you have to make sure are fed and sheltered and clothed. And so tell us more about your family and how you are managing all of these things, because you're mentoring 2 little girls, right? And then on top of that, you're mentoring these kids in college, college level women. And a lot of it is a lot of the same, right? But also it's also so exhausting to constantly be like that person that people come to you and people rely on. That's something that I struggle with on a daily basis, like keeping it together for all of the people who are leaning on me. So I would love to hear how you are managing it, what you do for self-care to like regroup and keep going.
So like I said, I have 2 little girls. I have a 14-month-old and an almost 9-year-old. And really, I make them a part of the process. So that's just the first part. I make them a part of the process. And again, She's Boss has been going on for almost as long as my oldest has been alive. And she has gone to networking events with me. When we do She's a Boss events, she often runs the check-in table. That's her thing. Even now, she's like, I have to run the check-in table. And I'm like, girl, you got it. Like even at 4 years old, I remember one particular event at the library, I had her run the check-in table, and she's 4, like she doesn't have the greatest penmanship at 4 years old. So I'm telling her when they walk through the door, you ask them their name, they check it off and let them write their own name on their name tag so I can read it when we start the event. By the time we sit down and I'm looking around the room, everybody's name tag had this chicken scratch 4-year-old handwriting with their name on it. So she's been a boss since birth. So I really integrate them into everything. And I know it's a little different now. It's not as, I guess, weird for, especially women when we're networking or going networking events or having those one-on-one networking with people and you just, their kid shows up. It's like not, oh my God, your kid is here. I used to tell people like years ago, like, all right, is it okay if I bring my daughter? If I can't bring my daughter, then I actually can't meet with you. So I literally enforced them kind of being a part of the process. Because even to me, starting She's a Boss, I know I want to be a legacy thing, because part of the reason for me starting it is because, you know, popularly known, there's lots of organizations and help for grade school level kids, you know, junior achievement, sponsor a scholar, and things like that. But, you know, by the time you get to the point where they tell you you're supposed to get to, go to school, and now it's like, where is my help? So that was a part of the reason why I started. I know one day my kids are gonna be at that point, and I want to make sure that they have something, they have people that they can lean on. So that was one reason why I started, and one reason I made sure to integrate her. So that's a piece of it, is making sure they're part of it. I was just at Palette last week, and the last few times I've been there, I brought my youngest with me. So, you know, it's just a matter of just doing it and just bring them there. So that's one piece.
Yeah, I wanted to like, to that point is, you know, I don't think people realize just how hard it is to get a babysitter, especially like, I don't have family around here, so I have to bring my kid. And my husband's home full time now, so he takes care of the little ones, like, for the most part. But before that, I mean, I did a women at work event, and I brought Zia with me. I went and did another like chamber women, I don't know, Women Business Council event where we had a speaker, and I was like the only woman with my kid. You know, she was still breastfeeding, and so I brought her with me. And there's a double standard there. You know, it's like, we want women to show up like they don't have an entire family at home that they're supporting, and, you know, and household that they're contributing to. And then also you need to be 100% mom when you're at home and pretend like you don't have a job to do. And I think the only way in which you can actually have it all is to, like, do it all at the same time and bring everyone along to help you with it, you know? And so everyone that you surround yourself with, they know what you're dealing with, and they're there to help and support you. And so I like, kudos to you for doing that. And to your point, there is not as much of a stigma, but it certainly is still there. And the only way we can change that is to always have our kids with us.
Yeah.
And another thing, it's like, it's a disservice to not integrate and involve them in what your life's work is. Like, you know, with the whole legacy piece of it, like, I don't know that I'm not doing this, that my kids will take it on, but it's certainly going to be an option for them to get the support they need, you know, in their careers, in their lives, if they're not feeling that support from the community that they have, you know, already. My point, though, is, like, they need to see more women doing what it is they want to be doing, and along with the kids, you know. And this is another reason why I did Palette. I wanted to create a space where moms felt welcome to bring their kids along for the meetings, for the event, for the workshop, like, whatever it is. Like, there's a space here for kids too, because that is just the reality of our lives.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And to kind of piggyback off your point of family, again, I grew up here, so my family is still here. I'm sitting outside of my parents' house right now because I have a great support system with my family, and even with friends that I grew up with in the area. I lean on them, you know, and they know that I'm out here hustling and bustling and I'm doing things. So sometimes, you know, sometimes it feels like, oh my God, I'm asking for too much, or I'm leaning on them too much. But at the end of the day, you know, they might feel like that sometimes too, but they're still like, bring them over. So,
you know, there's a shift that happened in my mind frame when I was really feeling guilty. I mean, I'm so done with the guilt. I don't feel guilty about a damn thing, because, again, the guilt is like not giving the people you're asking help from the chance to just say no. It's like expecting them to just do what you want, and that's bullshit. You know, it's like, if I ask you for help, you're a grown-ass woman. You can tell me no. You can say, no, I can't help you, you know? And if I just always, you know, expect you to, or I'm afraid to ask you for help, it's like, it's the most ridiculous thought in like, you could think of. And so it's like, you have to allow people, and you have to acknowledge that other people have the, you know, voice to say, no, I can't help you, or I can't do that, or yes, I can, whichever. It's like, I don't know. There was like this shift in my brain that happened when I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ask for for help all of the time and allow people to say, if they want to help me, if they don't want to join, if they want to be part of this, they have the right to say no. And just like I have the right to say no, which I've been actively utilizing a lot lately, because you can't be everything to everybody, and I certainly can't be in 3 different places at one time. So I'm forcing myself to like keep these boundaries up. I mean, it's exhausting, all the hard work it takes to just like not give in and not feel guilty and not, and just constantly stay focused.
I completely agree with that. And that resonates so much with giving people the opportunity to say no. Because the way you're saying it is, you were kind of holding yourself back from asking. And I wasn't necessarily holding myself back from asking, even though I kind of feel that guilt. My shift came when I was accepting their no, because they don't always say yes, for sure. So my shift came when it was like, okay, you can't do it. That's fine. I will bring them with me. I will reschedule. I will, make it a Zoom instead of in person. I work around it. I do what I have to do to get it done. So I still ask, and if they say no, it's no. And I don't, there's no hard feelings with it. It's, you can't help this time, and that's fine. You are an adult. Like you said, you're a grown ass woman, and you can say no if you want to. And I'll just ask next time.
Yeah, and you can't take it personally. I mean, this is another huge like revelation that I've had. I mean, I would say like in the last 3-4 years, because there were I would say for the most part with Pain Sip, I was carrying a lot of responsibility and a lot of stress, and I was doing it alone. And I rarely asked people for help. I would get frustrated when people wouldn't just like step up and do what they needed to do to see it through. And finally I'm like, you know what? Not everybody, no one's a mind reader, right? Like, well, Marcella, I swear to God, can read my mind. But she's exceptional. But like for the most part, people they're not in your head, and they don't know what you're thinking. And you have to, like, nothing goes without saying, right? So you have to always like, and when you start to sound like a broken record, you're like on to something, So I always ask for help. And when I get the no, I don't take it personally, because like everyone's got their own shit that they're dealing with. Everyone's struggling. I mean, despite what it seems like on social media, everyone's like living the high life. That's not the case at all. I would say the majority is not the case. And it's very rarely that people are feeling like they're excelling at life, So I think it's just important to not take it personally. And then the other thing, I always just think about it from my standpoint, like when I say no, because I can't help you, or I can't support you, or I can't, pay to buy whatever, you're selling, whatever it is, like how many times, I mean, do you ever feel guilty when someone tries to sell you tights or LuLaRoe or whatever, and it's like, oh, I really wish I could support her, but like, I can't buy another pair of tights, It's like, don't stop asking for help, right? Like just because you get the no, and the same from the other way around, like I really hate when I say no and then that person like falls off my radar, and it's like, no, keep asking for help, come back to me, like, because I truly do want to help everybody that I can possibly get my hands on. And sometimes the timing's just not right.
Exactly, I agree. I honestly don't really feel guilty when I have to tell them, no, I can't buy that right now, because my almost like my default go-to after that is that I can't do it, but tell me more, and if I know somebody else that can, I got you, but me, so I always try to at least give them to the next person, because I know a good amount of people, or I can at least share on social media, like I can't do it, but maybe somebody else can. So I definitely don't feel guilty. It's like, no, I can't do it personally, but maybe I can help you some other way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me, what is next for She's a Boss? Because you have some events bubbling, even in a pandemic. You and I both are like still doing events, because let's face it, the face-to-face engagement cannot be replaced by this Zoom. I mean, it's lovely to see your top up, but like, I know you have really nice shoes, and I know you have really great outfits. Yes. And we need to get back to like in real life engagements. We can do it safely. We can keep the distance. We can be compliant. I love the word compliant. It's like, so I love, like compliant doesn't need to mean no fun, right? Like we can still have a really good time supporting one another, showing up for each other, and be safe about it. So tell us what you got in the works.
My phrase hasn't been compliant, but it's been pandemic precautions in effect. So that has been my go-to phrase, like pandemic precautions in effect. But yes, so we have our annual stiletto brunch coming up. We've been doing stiletto brunch. This will be our third one, although we've been doing brunches before this being the third one. And it's our annual fundraiser that we use to raise some money to do our spring programming on the campuses. So that's coming up on October 25th. That's the last Sunday in October. And yes, pandemic precautions in effect. So last year we had probably over 100 people in the room. So at that time, we're like, yes, next year we're going to do, meaning this year, we're going to have like 300 people in the room. And then it's pandemic. And we're like, damn. And at first I was like, are we still doing this? And I think a part of me asking myself if we were still doing it was because still doing it meant doing something different. So, and I think subconsciously that was kind of scary for me, but just taking each step, I just made a post, I think on my Instagram yesterday, with each step, I get a little bit more excited. And again, I'm not the expert in everything. So just leaning on the people that I know has been amazing. My right hand, Ashley Kinsey, she is my digital stuff is her jam. So I've definitely been leaning on her to help with that, but we're still going to do it. We're just going to reduce the in-person size and we're going to do it at Palette Schenectady. So I'm excited about that. Brand new space, brand new feel. And I can't express how much I'm excited about it. But we're going to do a small version in person, but still, I always do this when I come on these things. Like I always forget to turn off my notifications. So it's not like dinging all over the place. But anyway.
Well, I didn't hear a ding, so.
Okay, perfect. So see, I'm telling on myself. But so we're gonna do a smaller in-person version of it, but it's still gonna be as impactful speaker-wise. We are still is it doubling? We're doubling the amount of sessions we're having from last year. Last year we had a keynote and a panel. This year we're gonna have a keynote, 2 sessions, and a panel. So we're still gonna have 8 speakers. The theme is resilience. It's gonna be super impactful. I've already booked a couple of the speakers, and that's why I know it's gonna be super impactful. So that's still happening. We're gonna do the smaller in person, and then we're gonna live stream it as well. So I'm still trying to have more people attend than we did last year in a digital space. So I think the fact that it's a pandemic, not only made me have to step out of my comfort zone. Again, that initial fear was gonna hold me back, but I was like, no, I still have to do this. And I know a lot of people were anticipating it. And I'm like, I don't want to let people down, even though we can't always just do things in the name of not letting people down. But Stiletto Brunch and She's the Boss is my baby, and I don't want to let myself down. So that was one of the reasons to still push forward and do it. So I think it's still going to be amazing. And like I said, with every step that we take, I get a little bit more excited. You guys are probably going to get tired of me posting about it. Hashtag Stiletto Brunch 2020, and it's just going to be dope. So that's just one event.
I can't wait. And tell me, how many people are you going to have like in person?
So in person, I actually have to talk to Marcella, but
as many as we can fit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because at first, for planning purposes, just to kind of get the wheel turning, we're like 30 people. Sounds like a great number, but we've already have at least 3 seats taken without having officially put tickets on sale yet. And then I started thinking like, damn, when I said 30, I meant ticket holders, and I wasn't accounting for speakers. And then I'm like, I don't want to use those 30 seats to accommodate the speakers. So I'm like, okay, if there's 8 speakers, that means we need 38 seats. And then I'm like, wait, but then me and Ashley, now we're at 40. And then I'm like, wait, we need event people, some volunteers. It's like, all right, now we're at 45. And then I'm like, Marcella, what is the capacity at Palette? Because this number keeps growing, but I know I still have to, keep the pandemic precautions in mind, but I think we'll be able to do 50 once it's all said and done, including the production people and attendees and everything. So it's still kind of 27. Yeah, exactly. It's a work in progress, but I know it's still going to be limited. I've actually had people that have already been reaching out, asking about tickets, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I feel a little bit bad that we can't have it like how we did last year, because a big component of She's a Boss and the Stiletto Brunch is the fashion aspect. And I know, especially for Black women and women of color in the area, we don't have a ton of events where we can dress up and go and learn and, you know, embrace each other. So I know that was a big draw for people, although I'm still going to encourage people that get the digital tickets, dress up and, you know, send us your picture, send us your living room brunch selfie. But it's still going to be dope, and I still want to see it.
I wonder if we can do like a double whammy and do an event in Saratoga and in Schenectady, and then also stream it.
So what we're going to do,
at a fashion show.
A piece of it that we're going to do, although we're going to have that main event at Palette Schenectady, we are going to be doing some watch party experiences. So I have been talking to some people, which again, because of the pandemic, although it was initially fair, it has opened up, you know, different ideas and more space for creativity and more space for expansion. Because I've been talking to and networking with women in Syracuse who want to host a watch party experience where they'll purchase, you know, X amount of tickets, and we'll send them like the brunch folder, we'll send them like a gift card to get their champagne. So we're still going to try and have, you know, little satellite pieces all around. So
well, you know, that's what's so exciting about, I hate to say it's exciting about the pandemic, but you know, you're going digital, which means you're going global, right? And like, so all of the people, I don't know if you saw family in Jamaica, but they could see what you're up to. And it's a really big deal. You're doing incredible work. I mean, do you like alumni people out or graduate people out of the program and keep in touch with them?
I do keep in touch with them, although we haven't, like I said, so this has just snowballed into what it is. And this is the year that we're actually building out some more structure and some more point A, B, C, D. But I do still keep in contact with a lot of like our alumni. So I am going to be inviting some of them. I'm going to be talking to the College of St. Rose, and hopefully we can get some students now in this semester that will be a part of it, kind of like of a teaser almost for the spring. So we are going to still engage with our students, with our campuses, and even just think about this, it reminds me, we only have this many seats, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
You are, and you know, it's going to be what it's going to be, and it's all about your attitude and the people who love you, who support what you're doing, support your mission. Like, I have to be honest, I was getting like all emotional when you're talking about your daughters and leaving a legacy, and it's so resonating with me. And like, our daughters are watching us through all of this, and they're paying attention, and they're seeing us doing exactly what we said we were going to do. We are doing it, girl.
Yep. Even if my daughter sometimes has a condescending tone when she says it to me, like if I'm like, just hold on a second, Cass, I gotta get on this call real quick. She's like, oh, you haven't had the She's a Boss meeting? I'm like, girl, if you don't cut it out. But at the same time, she's still like, I need to be there. I need to be at the event. I need to be at the event. I'm like, you got it.
She, you know, the other part of it too, it's like, how do you don't want to stifle that character and that like fire in her, you know? And I mean, I'm feeling this way with Ruby right now. It's like, she's so headstrong, and you know, you tell her no, and she's like double down, and she's like, I'm gonna do it. And you don't want to stifle it, you know, but it's challenging because it's like, yes, keep going.
Yep. Totally agree.
So tell us, I know you have to jump off soon, so I just want to wrap up to basically thank you so much for supporting me in my mission to create community in the Capital Region through Palette and through connecting all of us together and leaning on one another. What is it that really called you to join Palette? And I know we did talk about how you're using the membership to hold your events and stuff, but what else are you most looking forward to in the next year within the Palette community?
Just really, it's like a two-pronged thing. So again, yes, there's benefits of being a Palette founding member, from the space to the events and things like that. But I think the audience that we bring to Palette, I really want to be able to integrate the people that's behind She's a Boss into the community as well. Because I know in the Black community, it's a meme that was going around, but it still holds so much truth to it, where it says, you know, Black women don't see themselves with luxury and with new things. And it's like, no, we need that. And we need to start seeing ourselves with that. And again, palette is a brand new space, it's a brand new thing. So what resonated with me was the brand about it. So first of all, I already thought it was really cool that it's a cafe as well with that members only space. So just the brand of it, I thought really jived well with She's a Boss. It's not a piece that we publicize a lot, but 3 things that we think about with our She's a Boss meetings and when we're producing things is fun, firm, to the point. And I'm like, that kind of sounds like palette to me. So I think it'll be an easy integration with my community and the palette community and mentorship. And I think it's going to be huge in expanding our mentor program. So I can't wait to see how everything connects.
Yes. And I like literally don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm like tearing up because look, it's like on all of our minds, right? Like we all want to be supportive of everybody, especially people of color. And a lot of the times it's like, well, what do we do? How do we take action? And what is it that we need to do to, support these people? And it's hard. It's a hard conversation to have, especially if you're not, if you're coming from a place of like guilt and you're coming from a place where like, I don't think I'm not supporting people of color, and I'll be the first to tell you, I do not shy away from having hard conversations. I think that it's really important. It's important, so important to do it, right? And not be afraid of the outcome and actually have hope that after you have these conversations, we're in a better place, and we're more aligned with each other and we're more moving forward in the same direction, right? So like, let's leave all the baggage, let's leave all the shit and all the guilt and all that crap from the past, and let's move ahead together. And the only way we can get there is to have these conversations and in a place and start with respect. I always talk about how, when you have a difference with somebody, don't focus on that right off the bat, right? Like focus on what brings you together, focus on what the common goal is. And, we all want better for humanity. And so I think we have to start with collaborating, and we have to start with asking the experts, right? Like what they need. What is it that you need to feel like included and supported and belonging and community, And I am from New Orleans, and I tell you, it's still very segregated down there. I mean, I think I had 6 Black girls in my graduating class, one of which, Brittany Gugis, I still keep in touch with her. I love her to death. And, I always pick up the phone and ask her, like, what is it that you need? What can I do right now to support you so you don't feel like shit? Like you shouldn't feel like shit every day. None of us should. And I think that, it's hard conversations and it's exhausting. I mean, I'm exhausted, right? Like if I'm exhausted, I know for a fact you're equally exhausted, if not way more, right? And I just think you got to start with this mutual respect that we have for one another, and make it clear that that's the case. Because again, kind of circling back to what we were talking about early on, nothing goes without saying, you got to say it. You have to communicate like what the hell is going on in your head. I can't assume you're okay. I can't assume you're doing awesome because I saw like a positive post on your Instagram. Like I know for a fact, like for the most part, it's got to be so hard, So we just have to get to work, and we have to have the conversations. And anybody who isn't willing to have the conversation, sure as hell isn't a member of Palette.
Great. And that's what I like to hear.
Absolutely. All right. Well, anything else you want to add? Like, where can people find you and get in touch with you if they are just picking up what you're putting down right now? Want to give you a support system?
All right. So we're on Facebook. We are on Instagram. Check out both of our Instagrams. We are at Stiletto Brunch on Instagram. We are at She's a Boss YPC, Young Professionals Club. When we first started, it was She's a Boss Young Professionals Club. So She's a Boss YPC on Instagram, and definitely visit the website, www.she'saboss.org, and, get in touch, stay in tune.
Yeah, and you're and if you go to palettecafe.com, you can also find you there too. I can't wait to see you again in real life and hug your face and hug your babies. And there's more where that came from, right?
Yes.
All right, lady, have a great day. And I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you for having me.